What if I shared that in just 7 days, a straightforward oil you probably already have at home could revitalize the one body part most men over 60 quietly worry about, but seldom discuss? Yes, I'm referring to below the belt. And no, this isn't about pills, injections, or surgery. It's about restoring what time and tension have subtly diminished your blood flow, your sensitivity, your confidence. As a man, I'm Dr. Laura, a urologist and professor specializing in men's health for over 3 decades. I've worked with thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, assisting them in reclaiming the strength and performance they believed were permanently lost. What I'm about to disclose to you is supported by clinical insight and personal experience, not exaggeration, yet very few doctors will ever mention it. Here's the surprising truth. One of the most overlooked solutions for aging underperforming. Male tissue isn't found in a prescription pad. It's found in nature, applied topically when used correctly. It has the power to awaken circulation, restore nerve response, and make your most private area feel strong, warm, and alive again. This one daily habit may change how you perceive your body, starting this week in the next few minutes. I'll guide you through the exact oil to use, how to apply it, what changes to anticipate day by day, and 3 simple ways to multiply its benefits. If you've been feeling a little less like yourself lately, stay with me. What you're about to learn might just change everything. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect moment. Tap that button and enable the bell so you never miss another men's health tip, specifically for men over 60. And if this video resonates with you, even just slightly, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and let me know how I can better support you on your journey. Let's start with the real reason. So many men over 60 begin to feel disconnected from their bodies, especially below the belt. It's not merely aging, and it's not your fault. The truth lies deeper in something most doctors rarely explain: a slow but steady decline in circulation sensitivity and cellular vitality in the very area that defines so much of our identity as men. I observe it constantly. Men in their 60s and beyond seated in my office, quietly frustrated, sometimes even ashamed. They're not the same men they once were, neither physically nor intimately. They don't always verbalize it, but I can perceive it in their voice and witness it in their posture. The spark feels extinguished. Their body doesn't respond as it once did, and they've convinced themselves this is simply how aging works. But let me be unequivocally clear. It's not that simple. What's occurring in that region isn't some mysterious curse that accompanies age. It's a gradual biological shift as we get older. The blood vessels in the lower pelvic region, the arteries and capillaries that supply oxygen-rich blood to the penis and surrounding tissues, begin to narrow and stiffen. The flexibility those vessels once possessed, allowing them to expand and engorge the area with blood during arousal, slowly fades. Without that consistent blood flow, you lose not only function but also sensation. Your sensitivity dulls, spontaneous erections cease, and the morning stiffness you once took for granted becomes rare or disappears entirely on top of that nerve endings that once responded to the slightest touch, now demand increasing stimulation. And here's the detail no one discusses with reduced blood flow and lower nerve response. Your brain starts disconnecting from your body in that region. It no longer feels entirely yours. For many men, that sense of identity, the quiet confidence derived from being physically vibrant, is what diminishes first, and it hurts. Not just in the bedroom, but in the mirror, in your marriage, in your mindset. Now I'll share something personal. My own father, a proud, strong man who dedicated his life to manual labour, once confided in a quiet moment, "Son, it's like a part of me just stopped waking up. I feel like I'm fading." That resonated with me, not because it was tragic, but because it was preventable. He didn't need a miracle. He needed circulation, stimulation, and restoration. And when we provided that to him, when we activated his body correctly, he revitalized not just below the belt, but in spirit. This decline isn't about age, it's about attention. The male body still desires to respond. It's awaiting the correct signal. And as you'll soon discover, that signal doesn't have to originate from a pill. It can come from something far more natural, more ancient, and more potent than most men realize. In fact, it might already be in your kitchen cabinet awaiting your rediscovery. So now the question becomes, what is this forgotten remedy? And how can it restore the energy and responsiveness you once possessed? Let me show you. I'll never forget the day I introduced this oil to one of my longtime patients. Gerald, a 72-year-old Vietnam veteran, he possessed that quiet resilience, stoic and proud, never one to complain. But that day he finally looked me in the eye and stated, "Doc, I don't feel like a man anymore." That struck me deeply, not because it surprised me I'd heard it before, but because I knew he still possessed vitality. He just needed the right method to rekindle it. When I told him that a simple, natural oil could help restore sensation blood flow, and even his confidence without medication, he raised an eyebrow. "Oil," he inquired. "You mean something I rub on like lotion?" I nodded exactly, but not just any oil. This one's special. What I handed him was rosemary, essential oil diluted with almond oil, and what transpired over the course of a week was truly remarkable. Most people perceive rosemary merely as a kitchen herb, but for centuries, traditional healers across the Mediterranean have used it not just for flavor, but for circulation inflammation and muscle recovery. Modern science is finally catching up to what ancient cultures instinctively knew. Rosemary oil contains rosmarinic acid, which helps relax and expand blood vessels. That means more oxygen. Rich blood reaching the tissues below the belt. It also contains carnosol and cineal natural compounds that reduce inflammation and enhance nerve response. And that's precisely what aging male tissue requires when applied to the lower pelvic area. The pubic bone, groin and base of the penis, rosemary oil accomplishes something many men haven't experienced in years. It brings warmth, not a burning heat, but a gentle activation, as though your body is awakening. That's exactly what Gerald described to me. It was like there was electricity under my skin again. He told me not painful, just alive. He wasn't imagining it. The oil was stimulating peripheral circulation and gently encouraging his nerves to respond again. But beyond the biological effects, there's something else this oil achieves that we cannot quantify with numbers. It grants men a renewed sense of control. You're not merely waiting for a pill to work or hoping for a better night. You're actively caring for yourself, intentionally reconnecting with a part of your body that merits attention, not shame, not silence, but respect. It transcends being merely a physical routine. It becomes a quiet ritual. And for men like Gerald, that ritual becomes a pivotal turning point. So now you know the oil. But what about the exact method? Because how you apply it makes all the difference. Minor errors in timing, technique, or application area can differentiate between subtle results and a complete transformation. Up next, I'll guide you through the precise step-by-step method my patients use daily and how you can do the same starting tonight. One of the biggest misconceptions I observe among men attempting natural remedies is that they treat it like a chore, something to get over with quickly. But your body doesn't respond well to haste, especially not after 60. What it responds to is intention, gentle care, a sense of presence. And when it comes to utilizing rosemary oil to restore blood flow below the belt, the method of application is as crucial as the oil itself. Let me guide you through what I've taught countless patients, and even my own father. First, you must prepare the oil correctly. Essential oils are potent, which is why they must be diluted in a carrier oil like sweet almond coconut or jojoba oil. The general rule is simple: 3 to 5 drops of rosemary oil per tablespoon of carrier oil. Mix it gently in your palm until it feels warm, not hot, that warmth signals to your body that something healing is approaching. The next step is where most men rush, but where the true magic begins. Ensure your skin is clean and dry after a warm shower is ideal, as your pores are open and your muscles are relaxed. Stand or sit comfortably and begin at the base of your abdomen, just above the pubic bone. Use your fingertips to slowly massage the oil into your skin, in small circular motions. You're not aiming to press hard. This isn't about force, it's about rhythm. Move outward toward your inner thighs, gently covering the groin area and around the base of the penis. You don't need to apply it directly to the shaft unless you choose to. But even massaging around it can bring renewed blood flow and sensation. Breathe. As you do this in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel the warmth spread beneath your hands. For many men, this is the first time in years they've intentionally connected with this part of their body, not for function or frustration, but for healing. That's powerful. That's where the shift begins. You can do this once a day, to start preferably in the evening. Some men do it twice morning and night, especially in the first week. Each session should take 5 to 7 minutes. Not long, but enough to tell your body, I'm here, I'm listening, I care. One of my patients, Frank, told me after just 3 days of doing this, he felt something stir within, not just physically, but emotionally. He said, I didn't know how much I'd missed this kind of attention. It reminded me that I'm still a man. And he was right. This isn't merely a massage. It's a message to your body, to your nervous system, to your masculinity, and the results, they speak for themselves. But what precisely should you expect over the next 7 days? That's where it gets exciting, because if you perform this correctly, day by day, changes begin to unfold, and they're more powerful than most men imagine. Let me show you what's possible one day at a time. Most men are skeptical when I assert that noticeable results can commence within just 7 days. I understand after years, sometimes decades of decline, it's challenging to believe that something as straightforward as a daily oil ritual could begin to reactivate your body. But I've witnessed it repeatedly when a man genuinely commits to this practice. Even for just a week, something begins to shift, not always in dramatic fireworks-filled ways, but in subtle, meaningful signals that the body is remembering how to function naturally again. In the first 2 days, you may observe your breathing calms more readily at night. Your body feels more at ease. The tension lingering in your lower back or hips might feel lighter. These are indicators that your nervous system is responding, releasing stress and preparing for deeper rest. That's the quiet foundation where healing begins. By the 3rd or 4th day, your mind may feel calmer in the evenings. Thoughts don't spiral as much. You fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer. You might awaken in the early morning hours with a slight pressure or sensation you haven't felt in a while. It may not be a full erection yet, but it's a signal. Blood is returning. Energy is rising by the 6th or 7th day. Many men report a noticeable difference. More strength, more sensitivity, a quiet confidence growing beneath the surface. It's not about becoming who you were at 25. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself that never truly left. It was simply buried under years of stress, fatigue, and disconnection. I had one man, 74 years old, email me. After 1 week, he said, I didn't think anything would change, but on day 7, I woke up and smiled. Before I even opened my eyes, I felt something I thought I'd lost for good. These first 7 days are powerful, but they're only the beginning, because once you see signs of change, the next question is, How do you sustain the momentum? How do you amplify the results, go even deeper, and transform this small practice into something that shapes your long-term health? That's precisely what we're going to cover next. Let's ensure you not only achieve results, but build upon them. William was one of those men you instantly respected. A retired engineer from Ohio, broad-shouldered, steady voice, the kind of guy who built his life on logic, structure, and doing things the right way. He came to me one afternoon with a quiet heaviness in his eyes. He didn't complain. He didn't need to. After about 20 minutes of small talk, he leaned in and said, "Doc, I still love my wife, I still feel desire, but my body, it doesn't follow anymore." That sentence stayed with me. There was no bitterness in his tone, just quiet defeat. I asked him a few simple questions. When did you last feel strong in your body? When was the last time you woke up with an erection? When was the last time? Intimacy didn't feel like pressure but connection. He paused years. He said it's been years. William was skeptical when I told him about rosemary oil. Like many men his age, he had tried the usual options: blue pills, supplements, even testosterone creams. But they either didn't work or made him feel off. The idea of using an oil, something natural, gentle, almost ritualistic, felt foreign to him. But I told him what? I'll tell you sometimes. The most powerful healing isn't loud, it's subtle, steady, and rooted in care. He followed my instructions, just 5 to 7 minutes each night after a warm shower. No distractions, just the oil, his hands, and a quiet room. At first, he said it felt silly, like he was just going through the motions. But by day 4, he noticed something. He was waking up before his alarm, not from discomfort, but from a quiet buzz of energy in his pelvis. It wasn't arousal exactly, it was aliveness. Warmth, flow by day. 6, he told me he stood in the mirror and looked at himself differently. "Doc," he said, "I saw a man again that struck me deeply." We think male health is all about performance, but it's really about presence. The ability to feel connected to your own body, to know that something inside you still works, still responds, still matters on day 7. He held his wife's hand on their morning walk and felt something shift, not just in him, but between them. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. She noticed the energy, the confidence, that quiet power of a man who had returned to himself. William's story isn't rare. It's just rarely told, because most men don't think a story like that is possible for them, but it is. And if you're wondering how to take these results even further, how to enhance what you've started and build momentum, then you'll want to hear about the 3 oils I've seen work wonders when combined with rosemary. They're natural, accessible, and incredibly powerful. Let's explore them next. While rosemary oil on its own is a powerful ally, I often remind my patients that nature rarely works in isolation. Just like our body's plants work best in synergy over the years, I've seen even greater results when men combine rosemary with a few other time-tested oils, each one offering its own unique support for circulation, arousal, and overall male vitality. These aren't exotic or hard to find. They're simple, natural, and when used correctly, they can help take your progress to a whole new level. The first is ginger oil. Yes, the same root you might use in cooking is also a potent topical stimulator. Ginger increases local blood flow by warming the tissues and expanding the vessels. It has that subtle heat that wakes up cold, underactive areas without being overwhelming when blended with rosemary. Ginger adds a dynamic edge. One of my patients, Martin, age 71, called it his spark plug blend. He said it gave his body a boost that made him feel 10 years younger. The second oil is lavender. Now, I know what some men think lavender is for sleep or stress, not manhood. But let me tell you something. I've learned as a doctor, tension is one of the most overlooked enemies of male performance. if your pelvic floor, your lower back, or your inner thighs are holding on to stress. It affects blood flow, arousal, and even sensitivity. Lavender oil works not just on the muscles, but on the nervous system. It helps you relax physically and mentally, and when the body feels safe, it responds. The third oil is one I've come to deeply respect. Black seed oil, known for centuries in Middle Eastern medicine. Black seed is rich in antioxidants and compounds that support hormonal balance, reduce inflammation, and even help maintain healthy testosterone levels. Applied topically in a blend, it adds nourishment and deeper healing to the tissue. It's subtle but powerful. I usually recommend blending 3 drops of rosemary, 2 drops of ginger, and 1 drop of lavender or black seed oil into 1 tablespoon of a carrier oil like almond or coconut mix. Gently warm in your palms and apply using the same slow, circular massage technique. We discussed earlier, each oil brings something different to the table, and together they create a fuller, more rounded response. What I love most about these blends is that they allow you to listen to your body. Some days you need more energy, other days more calm, some days deeper recovery, and you can adjust accordingly. That's the beauty of working with nature. You're not forcing results, you're inviting them. But even the best oils can only do so much if your daily habits are working against them. That's why the men who see the most lasting change are the ones who pair this with a few simple lifestyle shifts. And no, I'm not talking about diets or gym memberships, just 3 or 4 easy changes anyone can do. Starting today, let me show you how to make this stick. When I first introduced this oil routine to my patients, most of them treated it like an experiment, something they'd try for a week or 2 just to see what happens. And that's fine, we all need to start somewhere. But what I didn't expect was how many of them came back weeks later, not just for a follow-up, but with a new energy in their voice. They didn't just want results anymore. They wanted rhythm. They wanted this to be part of their life. Because the truth is, healing isn't just about what you do. Once it's about what you do consistently with care. And for men over 60, building this into a daily or weekly ritual isn't just helpful, it's powerful. The body responds to patterns, and when you give it the same message every day, you still matter. The body begins to believe it, not just through performance, but through present strength and sensation. So how do you make it last? You start simple. Pair the oil massage with something you already do, like brushing your teeth at night or taking your morning shower. Keep the oil in a visible place, not tucked away in a drawer. Make it part of your space, then give yourself just 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need candles or music or anything elaborate, just your hands, your breath, and your willingness to reconnect. Some of my patients like to begin with a brief walk, 5 or 10 minutes outside, just enough to get blood moving. Others add in light movement, rising onto their toes, gently rotating their hips, stretching their thighs. It's not exercise, it's activation. Then the oil, warm it in your palms, breathe it in. Let your touch be firm but kind. You're not rushing, you're listening. This is your time, and here's the part that matters most. Consistency. Some days you'll feel more, some days less, but every time you show up, you're telling your body, I'm here, I'm not going away. And over time, that message sinks deep. It becomes less about trying and more about being a quiet return to something you thought was gone. James, a 66-year-old former truck driver, said it best. This isn't a routine anymore. It's part of me, like drinking my morning coffee or kissing my wife goodnight. It just belongs. That's the kind of shift we're after. Not just improvement, but integration. Because once your body starts remembering how it's supposed to feel, the next question becomes, how far can this go? Because believe it or not, what we've covered so far is just the beginning. There's still one more truth you need to hear, one that might change the way you look at your body, your past, and your future as a man. Let's talk about that. Now, if you've made it this far, I want to thank you. not just for watching, but for showing up for yourself, that matters perhaps more than you realize, because somewhere along the way, most men are told quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, that after a certain age they should expect less energy, less connection, less intimacy. But I'm here to remind you that's a lie. You are still here. Your body is still capable. And this journey you've just begun is proof of that. We've talked about why men over 60 struggle below the belt, not because they're broken, but because circulation, nerve response, and presence have slowly faded. We've explored how something as natural as rosemary oil can reawaken those systems, and how pairing it with the right intention and simple daily rituals can bring back warmth, sensation, and even confidence. You've heard real stories from men like William and James, men who didn't settle men, who turned quiet hope into powerful change. And you've learned how combining rosemary with other natural oils and movement can deepen that transformation. But what I hope you carry forward most isn't just the method. It's the message: you matter, your health, your pleasure, your presence. It still belongs to you. And every day you choose to care for yourself. No matter how small the act is, a day you reclaim your strength. So don't let this be the end of a video. Let it be the beginning of a return to yourself, to your body, to the man you still are. The next chapter is waiting. Let it start with you. If this video spoke to you even in a small way, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the like button. So YouTube knows this message matters. Share it with another man in your life who might need to hear these words today. And leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what part of this connected with you most. Or simply type, "I'm ready," if you're taking that first step back toward confidence. Your engagement helps more men find this information. And it tells me you're out there listening and reclaiming your power. So don't stay silent. Join the conversation. You're not alone, and your story matters.